We need to make sure that the dog is relaxed in the vehicle before we start closing the boot. So gradually add duration, starting with around 5 to 10 seconds and build up to about 1 to 2 minutes. We're just looking for duration here, but if your dog does lie down, then go ahead and reinforce them. If they jump out before being cued, see if they're happy to get back in again. If they do, reduce duration and increase it again in smaller increments. If they don't, you've probably progressed too quickly, so take a break and reevaluate your training plan. You can also reinforce duration with a chew or something similar. If the dog chooses to take it out of the car and eat it, that's absolutely fine. But if they choose to stay in the car, it gives you a really good idea how they're feeling about it. This is the first session of closing the boot, so I start by touching it and then place a treat on the bed rather than giving it from my hand. This is not behaviour dependent, so the dog can be in any position, and every time I touch the boot, a treat then follows. Give the dog time to eat the treat before you then repeat it, and ensure you stand to the side so that the dog's able to jump out of the vehicle should they need to. I then add slight movement and Isla immediately changes position, so I go back to just touching the boot again. As soon as I add movement again, she responds in the same way. It doesn't matter what position the dog is in when you close the boot, but they must be relaxed, and it's clear to me that Isla sits when she's not comfortable. I should have treated her here, as I want touching or moving the boot to always predict high value treats, but my brain was on a bit of a go slow, so I missed that one. I decide to use Isla lying down as my go signal and her sitting up to mean go back a step. However, I also need to observe her body language more closely, as it's likely there are stress signals before she actually sits up. For example, she looks away slightly on one repetition, and then on the next, as I reach to the boot, she looks away, licks her lips, and then moves her eyes to look at the moving boot, so you can see the whites of her eyes on the video. Licking her lips just before and after feeding is really common, but it's the addition of the other aspects that tell me she's not feeling 100% comfortable. This was a really good place to finish, but to be honest, it was more by luck, as I only noticed Isla's subtle body language when I looked at the video footage later. We just managed to shut the boot about a quarter of the way down when it snowed. You'll have noticed in previous footage that Isla often lifts the paw. I've done a lot of work on paw raises, and so this behaviour has a huge reinforcement history. However, she also does it when she's unrelaxed. So we decide to go right back to the start again and just touch the boot. There's a light covering of snow on the boot, which I should have brushed off beforehand. Why I didn't, I have absolutely no idea, because if that had moved, it would have definitely caused us a setback. I then gradually add a bit of movement again. It's clear that closing the boot for Isla is a really big deal, so I decide to start using the treat and train, which is something we've used previously on numerous occasions. However, it is still a change, so we take a step back. I can now consistently close the boot a quarter of the way, so my next goal is halfway. I gradually increase, but after a couple of half closes, I make it easier again.